Okay, so here is the tutorial on masking the lightsaber that I promised you guys. So again, this is a pretty simple concept. If you're creating a lightsaber, this is how you do it. Basically want to bring your source footage in. One thing that I like to do, now that I have my video in, it's about 10 seconds long, and I am going to cut to the part where the sword actually becomes visible, because I'm not really worried about anything besides that part at the moment. And so I'm going to cut my work area down to that point so that if it does loop, it's only going to loop that part. If I hit the space bar, in fact, right there, I can cut it, because I know that pretty much as soon as it hits the window or the camera, I want it to go out. So I'll go ahead and hit Shift Command D right there to split my clip. I could also, go to the end and try to grab the edge of the clip, but you can see that it won't let me do that right now. Yeah, it won't quite let me grab the end of the clip. So instead, Shift Command D splits it wherever the playhead is. So it just split the clip right there. Now I can select the second half and delete it, and trim my work area down so that I don't have all that extra space. And so now I have this. If I hit space bar, nothing but lightsaber, because that's all I really want to deal with right now. I don't want to deal with it picking up more than that. So now that my clip is prepped and ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and create a new solid. And to do that, you go Layer, New, Solid. And it's going to bring up a dialog box. You could call this Saber, so we know what it is. And by default, it's the same size as the comp, but we could hit Make Comp Size anyways. You notice nothing changed. But what is important is that we pick out a color. And since I got a red shirt on, maybe I'll go with a blue lightsaber, or maybe a green lightsaber this time. Let's go a little lighter than that, maybe. That looks good. Okay, I'm going to click OK. So we're sort of doing a backwards treatment here, where we've got the solid on top of our video. We're going to hit T for opacity and drop it down on the solid. And again, make sure the solid is selected before you hit T. And it really can be pretty darn low. You don't need to see much of it. It's more important that we see through it. Okay, now that we've done that, we're pretty much ready to get to work. And the next step is going to be making sure that this layer is selected. And then we're going to select our pen tool. And notice that the first thing I notice is that when I click the pen tool is that the fill and stroke box popped up, which basically is telling me this is going to create a shape, not a mask. So if I hit Command Z, I need to go back and notice how the layer is. Oh, okay, there's my shape layer it just created. Select my layer, select the pen tool. Notice there's no fill or stroke, and that's because with this selected, it's going to create a mask. All right, so this is the point where I like to zoom in by hitting Command plus, and then I hold the space bar down and slide the screen up, and I might even drag this down to give myself maximum real estate, because masking is just particular work, and the closer you are, the better it goes. So we have our lightsaber. There's the first little bit of it. So we need to come down and make sure we can go ahead and draw our first mask. Come down a little lower here. And I'm going to start off with 4 points to begin with, but I will add a fifth. Now, once you draw that first mask, you got to remember to go over to your mask, click on the drop down, click on the drop down again, and click on mask path stopwatch. All right, so there we go. Now we're ready. You see we got a keyframe. We're ready to do some animating. So I'm going to use the page up button, page down, and I am going to just quickly start to move these around. Now, if they're all solid, Then I need to hold down the Shift key and click on them real quick. And that will make them movable. And there we go. And so this is a slow, time-consuming process. That's why we're trying to keep the saber time to 3 to 5 seconds. And okay, so right there, notice I just clicked off by accident, and now my mask is gotten sort of its own bounding box. So what I need to do to make it editable again is just go over and click back on mask path down here. Okay, that's a gotcha that you'll run into from time to time, and you just need to know how to quickly fix it so you can move on so it doesn't slow you down. I pretty much do all of this with my hand right next to the Command Z button. So if I screw something up, which I will, I can quickly undo it and fix it. All right, so that's it. Let's take a look. I'm going to go ahead and turn the opacity back up on my saber layer by selecting it and hitting the T key and bumping it back up to 100%. Oops, the V key. There we go. All right, lightsaber. Okay, let's make this thing glow a little bit. Come over here, select layer, go up to effects. We could choose stylize glow. And there we go, we got a little bit of glow on it. It's not great. Let's see how much we can crank that up to. Let's see, pop the radius a little bit. Let's see, notice the radius kind of affects how far that glow goes out. And I don't want it too far out. Like right there is kind of cool. And crank the threshold up to 100. You notice we get that weird sort of drop shadow. So it seems like the threshold's not going to give us too much in the way of goodness. Intensity doesn't seem to do a lot unless you really expand out the radius. Let's see what else. Operation add, original colors. Play with color loops, that doesn't do much. Okay, so that's about as much as I'm going to get out of just using the glow. And it's okay, not quite enough though. So come on over here to the mask and add a little bit of feather to try to soften up. There we go. I don't want it too soft that it's making the whole thing look blurry, but just a little bit of feather. I put 13 pixels of feather in there, which might even be too much. Could probably drop that down to maybe 8. But notice how it just kind of softens out some of these spots that don't look all that great. There you go. That's a touch blurry, but it's definitely in the ballpark. And now here's another thing we could do. If we wanted to sort of break up this light a little bit and make it a little less consistent from side to side, we could duplicate our saber, select the duplicate, change the color, and I don't think I can change the color down here, can I? Transform, layer styles, effects, nope. Okay, so I'm going to go up to effects, stylize, no, I'm going to go to color correction, and really all I want to do is change the hue. So if there is a hue saturation slider, nope. Oh, there it is. Great, and now I can just change the master hue a little bit. And really all I want to do is just kind of lighten it up. Oh, that blue tone's kind of cool. Let's see. And I can do that by going to a slightly lighter color. I can also increase the lightness a little bit. So what I'm thinking about is trying to do sort of a core in the middle. And we'll see if this works. So once I've done that, then I can go down to, and again, I'm on my second mask layer here. I duplicated the original. So I have another one on top of it. And what I'm thinking I can do is play with the mask expansion and shrink it in. There we go. And then add a little more feather to it. And we kind of have a multi-dimensional mask now. So again, all I did was I brought the expansion in about 25% to -25. I cranked up the feather to about 39. And again, that you can do that to taste, whatever looks good. And maybe on a different frame it might need more or less. I kind of like that. Just adds a little extra dimension to that glow so that it's not consistent side to side. And then, of course, we could still go to the original one, duplicate it, and get a little bit more glow. There we go. I like that. When we put the sound effects in, speed it up, we'll have a fun little video to play with. Okay, that's it for creating lightsabers. The only thing you need to watch out for is when you're masking, if you accidentally click off your mask and you go to click a point, you'll see it create a second mask. When it does that, you'll see a different colored mask point. If that happens, just hit Command Z. It just means you missed your target and you accidentally created a new mask point rather than selecting an existing mask point. Okay, that should do it.